Welcome back to another episode of the Female Empowered Podcast. I'm your host, Christa Gurka, and I want to play a little scenario for you. Your business cannot run for 2 weeks without you. And somewhere along the way, you started wearing that like a badge of honor. You tell yourself it means you're indispensable. It means you're the reason this is successful, that nobody cares or can do things or is as smart as you are, that this is just what it takes to keep high quality. But here's the truth that I learned, and I realized I wasn't saying out loud. A business that cannot survive without me isn't an asset. It's a job. It's a prison, really. It's a really expensive, really exhausting job that you cannot quit. And today we're going to fix that, or at least I'm going to try to help you fix that. All right. So once again, welcome to the podcast. I hope you love the content that we put out today. And I'm really glad you're here because today's episode is one that I wish somebody had sat me down 18 years ago and forced me to listen to while I was building Pilates on the beach and then Pilates in the Grove. And here's why. When I finally sold my studio, the thing that made it sellable was not the reformers. It was not my brand colors. It was not the font. It was definitely not my client list. What it was the fact that I had taken everything that lived in my head, the quality, the expectations, the standards, every decision, every standard, every expectation, every here's how we do this and why. I got it out of my head onto paper and into the hands of people that I trained to run this business without me. And that is the whole game. It is the hardest, most uncomfortable work I've ever had to do as a business, as a person in general. And I want to talk today about things like we've talked previously about leaks in your business, and we've talked about surviving the Pilates boom. We've talked about private equity flooding into this industry. And the thread that runs through all of those things, the thing underneath the thing, is that the more your business depends on you personally, the more fragile it actually is, the less profitable it actually can be, and the less it's actually work when you want to go to sell it. We're talking about the owner dependence trap, why everything still runs through you, how to actually see the dependencies you've been blind to. And the first 3 things I want you to get off your plate. So let's get into it. Number 1, the invisible dependencies, the ones you're probably blind to. Owner dependency is really rarely big, obvious stuff. It really hides in 3 quiet places: decision-making, you approving everything, and your client relationships. Every, hey, quick question that lands on your text messages is a decision that your team is not empowered to make. What about approvals? What about a refund, a comp, a schedule change, a $40 supply order that has to wait for you? You are the bottleneck, my friends. Your business literally stops when you stop. So if you cannot answer that text, if you cannot return that email, if you cannot approve whatever it is they're asking you, your business ceases. Run that back. Your business ceases to operate. What about, think of client relationships. If your best clients only feel taken care of when you are the one that teaches them, you are the one that greets them, you are the one that programs them, you are the one that answers their texts or calls them back, you have built a loyalty to you, not the business. So let me paint this picture, because I know a lot of you are like, maybe yes, maybe no. I don't know. You're on vacation, or at least you're trying to be on vacation. It's summer. A lot of you are going to be going on vacation. Your phone buzzes and it says something like, hey, so-and-so wants to freeze their membership. How do I do that? Or maybe it's 6 o'clock in the morning because you're on a different coast. An instructor calls out and says, now she's like, I don't know what to do. I'm sick. I can't go in. Or you get another buzz. Client's upset about a charge. Can you call her? And you say to yourself, no problem. I'll handle it. No problem. I'll do it. I'll leave the beach at lunch, or I won't go on that boat trip, or I will just between message on my plane ride while I'm at the airport, I'll return this call, or I'll show somebody how to freeze a membership, or I'll make that decision. But what happens is, this is what we call in business the hub and spoke model. You are the hub and everything is the spoke running back to you. If you think of a hub and spoke, the hub's in the middle. It's like a bike. It's like a bike wheel, right? So you're the hub and all the different spokes are running back to you. We call this a hub and spoke model. And it's basically owner dependency. And it's one of the value adds when you go to sell your business, is that you have a very low score on hub and spoke. If you have a very high score on hub and spoke, that means you are a very owner dependent business. All right. And we talk about this in our Elevate to Exit program. So all the women in the Elevate to Exit, they use this value builder framework. And it's the framework that I use to help those women learn how to not be owner dependent, right? It's one of the 8 things buyer buyers measure. And like I said, it's literally called hub and spoke. What you're looking at is how would your business perform if you were unexpectedly unable to work for 3 months? Not 2 weeks, but 3 months. And if the honest answer is it would fall apart, then right now you don't own a business. You own the hub and all the spokes around it. So this is where we want people to be very intentional about how they grow their business, that it's not around you as the owner being the center of everything. You have to empower people with skill sets and with authority and with agency, and then hold them accountable to meet those expectations. When you start compensating for everything, your team isn't making decisions and you make them for them. Your systems don't hold the standard. You're holding the standard. And it looks like it's working. Revenue's good, clients are fine. So nobody necessarily calls it a problem, but you are the overload structure. You are overloaded. And just like in the body, if we don't fix what's overloaded, injury happens. And injury in this case is burnout. The injury is a business you can never step away from and you can never sell. And you always figure like you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off. This isn't a quality of life issue. It directly hits what your business is worth. The Value Builder system analyzed thousands of business owners. I think it was like 78,000 business owners. And here's what they found. Business owners where the owner knows every client by name and is personally involved in serving them got buyout offers, got offers for their business of about 2.5 EBITDA, which is like profit. But businesses where the owner was not personally required to serve clients, they got 4 to 4.5. Same business, just a different owner dependency. That gap is almost double is the price tag on owner dependence. So if your business operates completely on you, you're setting yourself up for a system that will lead to your personal burnout, which will affect things in your life. But you're also creating a system where your business is not valued as highly when you want to get out, when you want to exit. So better start working on that now. Number 2, this is a big one. The whole I trust no one to do it like me syndrome. No one can do it as good as me. We've all had that, right? It's easier for me to just do it myself, all right? The real bottleneck in this situation usually isn't your team's ability. It's your standard of do it as good as me, which no one will ever hit. No one will ever hit. Someone told me this once and it was like really eye-opening for me. Stop expecting yourself in your team. They're not you and they won't ever be. So stop expecting yourself in your team. There is a difference between done the way I do it and done well enough for the client or the situation to have the result. The second one, the latter one, is the actual option. Done is better than perfect, and done is better than as well as I would do it. Holding on to everything isn't humility or high standard. It's often wrapped up in our identity. If you're not the one fixing everything, who are we? Who are we if we're not the ones that are helping everyone out? If we're not the ones saving, if we're not over functioning for our family or our friends or our business? Perfectionism is expensive, my friends. The cost is your time, your team's growth, innovation, and a ceiling that really you've created that you can't break through. So let's talk about the mindset piece now, because I think this is really important, especially for high functioning perfectionists or things like that. I am myself, right? And so as a lot of high achievers are, a lot of it has to do with how we relate to who we are in the world, okay? And the mindset that is probably leading that or fostering that is nobody can do it like me. And while you might be right, maybe you are the best instructor or the best clinician or the warmest person at the front desk. I doubt it, but maybe you are. And being the best at the task is exactly what keeps you trapped in the task. You were the best because you were a high achiever all through life. You were maybe the best athlete, or maybe the best child, or maybe the best student, all right? But I want to challenge that for a moment. So I want you to think about this. When you say no one can do it like me, what you're usually saying is no one will do it exactly the way I do it. And while that's true, they won't do it exactly like you, but is that necessary? Is that necessary? All right? I've said this example before. When my kids were born, they're 20 and 22 right now, but when they were born and they were little and I was home on maternity leave, when my husband would come home from work, he would bathe them. And that was like his time with the kids. And I still laugh about this because also very structured and I have a way of doing things. I do this, I wash my hair first and then I condition my hair and then I put soap on. So I know people have certain ways of doing things. So anyways, when I watched my husband bathing the kids, he would soap them first before he did their shampoo. And he would also bathe them so hard and soap them so hard, it was like he was washing the dog. And I remember just getting irritated and anxious. And then I think it was my mom maybe that said to me, why are you standing here looking at him doing the bath? This is your time to do something you want to do. The goal is that the kids are washed. The goal is that their dad spends time with them. That is happening. The method of which he's doing it doesn't matter. You're only hurting yourself by being nitpicky about this. So step away. The kids are happy. The job, they will be clean at the end of this and your husband, and you'll have time to relax. So this is what I say. Your clients need the result. They don't need to have it done exactly the way that you would do it each and every time. So the question becomes, will my team do it identical to me? And the answer is no. And that's okay. The question should be, will my team get the client the result? Will they get the job done? And that answer is yes. With the right training and the right systems, that should be a yes. All right. So that is something you really need to consider. And if you're like, I don't want to, it takes too long to train them. Yeah, it takes too long. It takes long to train them, but it also takes a lot longer to be resentful of the fact and have to keep jumping back in to do the same task over and over again. All right. I've talked about how when I was preparing to sell my business, I literally had to be a different version of Christa. And a huge part of that was untangling my self-worth from being needed. For years in my personal life and in my business, my identity had always been wrapped up in being the one who fixed things, right? I'm a fixer. I'm an overfunctioner. I'm the one with the answers. I was like that as a child. You took care of my siblings when my parents got divorced. I still to this day am the one that jumps in to fix things, all right? But the day I realized that me being needed was the exact thing that was capping my business and running me into the ground, that's the day, and I remember this, I was crying in my car. That's the day that I recognized things started to change. Things had to change. So I want you to ask yourself the honest question. And I want you to actually sit with it. Are you holding on to all of this because your team truly can't handle it? And if they truly can't handle it, that means you have to hire other people because somewhere deep down inside of you, you're a little afraid of who you are if you're not the one holding it all together. And that's not a knock on you. That's the work that you're going to grow into. And I say this with so much love, people. The most generous thing you can do for your team is stop being the only one who's allowed to be great. Allow others to be great. Allow them to step up, head up, elevate up into a new version of themselves. So you've got the mindset piece down. You're looking at how you become the bottleneck in everything. And now we're going to talk about how to audit your involvement in everything. And the first 3 things that you should be offloading as the owner of a PT clinic or a boutique fitness and wellness business. Here's the thing. Number 1, you can't fix what you can't see. So for 1 week, track every single thing that runs through you, literally everything. You have to approve the email. You have to approve the social media. You have to create the graphics. You have to post the social media. You have to prepare the promo emails, you have to do the maintenance equipment, you have to do vacation requests, whatever that is, okay? And you're going to use this 3-month test as your filter. If you vanished for 90 days, what breaks first? When I was doing this, I called this exercise Operation Christa Gets Hit by a Bus. And I was like, I realized even my spouse didn't have my bank passwords, didn't have access to credit cards, didn't even know anything about the business. If I was in a coma and I couldn't talk, like, how would people get into the bank? How would they do any of this stuff? So I want you to think, you don't have to be so morbid and be like Operation Christa Gets Hit by a Bus, but you could say if you were incommunicado for 90 days, what would break first, okay? Then start to offload stuff in that order. Start with the lowest stakes, highest frequency stuff, not the most scary stuff, okay? So for one full week, you're going to keep a running list. Your notes app, I love, that's how I used to do it, of literally every question your team asks you, every decision you make, every approval that waits on you. Don't change your behavior yet, just track it, okay? We're diagnosing, not treating yet. So you're going to track every question that comes to you. At the end of the week, you're going to sort that list into 3 different buckets: decisions, approvals, and client communications, client relationships, customer service, if you want, okay? Now, you're going to go back through each item and ask one question. Does this genuinely require me, the owner, my expertise, my authority, or does it just require a trained person following a clear standard? And I promise you that you will see that 80 to 90% of that list does not actually require you. It requires a system, a process, and a person to run that system or process. So some of the lowest hanging fruit that you can start to offload are front desk and admin decisions. This is your highest frequently lowest stakes category, and it's where you should win your first hours back right away. Scheduling changes, membership freezes, cancellations, inventory, okay? Basic client questions. They should be able to make all of those decisions. Any type of refund, comp, under, $100, $50. They don't have to ask you, they can make the decision. Create a process around it. Inventory, it gets done one day a month or every other week, the 1st and the 15th, whatever it is, but you don't have to do it. And as long as the order is under $500, they can just order it. Write the rule and write the process so that every administrator in your business has that decision already handled. You're not giving up control. No, in fact, you're giving up being the switchboard and you're empowering people to elevate into a better role, giving people power and understanding, and then they have the agency, the autonomy to make these kind of decisions. That is good. It creates innovation. It creates better team people. It creates more buy-in, all right? So that's the first thing you're going to offboard. The second thing you're going to offboard is routine client communications and client onboarding. Your new client welcome series, the intake form, the first session prep, those things should be automated, all right? If they're running through you right now because you built the relationship, that's great. But now you're going to build a simple, documented system, a documented flow so that every client has the same first impression of the studio and the team, not just you. This is how you transfer loyalty from you to the business, which is, by the way, exactly what makes it sellable. When someone is looking to buy your business, if they were looking at Pilates in the Grove and they were like, if Christa leaves, the business crumbles, I'm not selling anything. Because if I go, they're building it from scratch. By the end, people didn't even know I was the owner. I taught a class one day and they were like, oh, did you just start working here? What other classes do you teach? So I love that. That is what your goal is. All right. So we said admin task. We said new client communications. That, if anything, should be automated as much as possible. And number 3 is certain decisions. Start with the least scary decisions first. Having people make those decisions with authority and with some guardrails. Okay. So what I mean by that. So don't just abdicate your responsibility. Don't just offload these tasks. Offload decisions, okay? Give your lead person the authority to handle comps and refunds, like I said, okay? To make judgment calls when an instructor is out, to make judgment calls about canceling classes or sessions, to solve client complaints without texting you. So these are guardrails. They're like bumpers when you're bowling, okay? You can spend up to X amount on studio improvements. You can comp up to Y amount. Anything bigger, come to me. So our front desk you can make decisions under $100. My studio manager could make decisions under, I think, $1,000. And then my director of operations could make any decisions of $5,000 or less because I trusted them. And because we practiced this and there was a system and a process. And then when my team would come to me, or the studio manager, when we were training her and she would come to me with a decision, I would always say, What do you think we should do? So yes, does this take time? Yes, it does take time to train, and it does take time to get people to be comfortable. And the biggest thing is that they're afraid to make mistakes, probably because you came down on them before for making mistakes, right? And now they're afraid to make mistakes. But when people can't make mistakes, it really stifles innovation. So let's just make sure they're not making a really terrible mistake. Let's make sure they're like what we call two-way door decisions. So you can always come back through the door and change the decision or do it differently next time. All right. So when you're giving people, you're training them, you're handing off a decision, let them take that on for a period of time. Give them feedback and then load to them more decisions, more autonomy, little by little. Autonomy is a strength you build in your team. Little by little, progressively. It happens over time think of how we work with a client, okay? Think of how we work with a client. You're trying to, I don't know, let's talk physical therapy for a second, and you're trying to improve someone's squat, okay? The first time you're going to show them how to do it, right? So you show them. They watch you, you show them. Then they're going to do it themselves, and you give them feedback. You say, yes, good, no, bad, your knee was in, your ankle's not moving forward, keep your heel down. They still need your guidance, right? Then the next time they're going to show you first, this is how I would do it. And you're going to be like, yes, great. I would tweak this a little bit. Okay. Then after they've got that down, great. Then what you're going to do is start to add load. You're going to start to add weight. You're going to start to give them more autonomy and more decisions, right? That's how you build load over time. And the same way we do it with our clients, this is how you train people in your system. So when you delegate a task, when you abdicate your responsibility, basically without a system, it just moves the bottleneck. Now they ask you how every single time, okay? The system is what makes it stick. So you got to follow that process. You want to document the standard. You want to show them how to do it. You want to show them what great looks like, and then step by step. And then you watch them do it. You assess how they're doing it. You tweak it and give them feedback. And then eventually they have a system that they follow each and every time that they're autonomous with. Okay. And so now they don't need to come to you to ask you if their squat is good. No, they don't need to come to you to ask them if they did this comp right or this refund right. And so that is a big difference. Owners often get this wrong when they're just like, okay, you do this, but there's no training involved. You just handed off the task without teaching the system. You just said, you handle this. You handle onboarding now. You create these situations. You do the performance reviews, but you're just abdicating your responsibility. And without a standard, how are they going to follow? You didn't fix the dependency. You just added a step. Now they're going to try it. They're going to make a mistake. They're going to come back to you and ask you to fix it. Okay. So the fix is creating the system and then having the people on your team run the systems. That is how you change owner dependency one system at a time. It's not just enough to have the people. It's not just enough to create the system. You have to have the right people follow the right system every time, whether you're there watching or not. Make the standard binary, all right? Make the standard binary. When you document the standard, get specific. Don't just say, deliver a great class. Great is not a behavior, it's an opinion, and it's super subjective. The behaviors are things like, here's what a great class looks like. The instructor greets every client by name when they walk in the classroom. The class starts on time. The class ends on time. Every first timer gets a check-in before and after class. Every instructor makes the announcements at the end of class. Now, everybody on your team knows exactly what great looks like. It's just binary. Did they start the class on time? Did they end the class on time? Do they know the people's names? Were they the first person in the class? Were they the last person to leave the class? That is the standard. And that's how you train your people to follow the standard each and every time. And that, my friends, is how you create structure in your business so you can have more freedom in your life. So I want to give you a few examples of people that I've worked with that have done the work. Okay, so one example, Laura, she's a PT practice owner. When we first started work, and an insurance-based practice owner, when we first started working together, she was probably bringing in $350,000. She was not paying herself. She had, I think, one other PT or one PT and a part-time PT. She was working 5 days a week. She had 3 small children at home under the age of 4, I think, maybe under the age of 3. And she was ready to give up. She was like, I don't think I can do this anymore. I don't have the capacity to do this. We worked together slowly over time and over a 2-year period, 2.5 years. So this is what I'm saying. It takes some time. She has doubled her revenue. She went from 150,000, almost 100,000 at the end of 2025. She is down to treating 1 day a week. She has, I believe it's 3 full-time PTs on her staff now, in addition to her. She doubled the size of her space. She took a new space. She now has a full service, semi-private Pilates addition to her practice. And she is paying herself and has an 18% profit. So in 2 years, she went from wanting to give up, not paying herself, to giving herself I think it was like a 200% raise, adding 18% profit to her business, and adding $300,000 to her revenue. She has a fully functional standard operating procedures. Everyone is accountable for what they're supposed to do. And she's down to treating 1 day a week. And that's because she wants to. So that's a great story. We also have another person I think of is a studio owner, Pilates studio owner, Carol, who's been running her business for 17 years when we first started working together. She was convinced at the time that she was capped out. Okay. She really wanted to start preparing her business for exit. And in just over a year of working together, 1 year, she built out her fully optimized policy and procedure manual. She created a lead instructor role. She has a studio manager. She actually took two 3-week vacations and fully disconnected, 2 of them in a year. The business didn't just survive, it grew while she was spending time away. She has closed off her schedule, and we're working on getting her down to even 1 day a week by the end of the year. She has hired possibly 2 more instructors to be able to grow the business. And she has set it up to have a business that is now 2 to 3 more times more valuable as an asset when she is ready to sell. And she mentioned this to me not that long ago. She was like, I didn't think this was possible, but the anxiety I used to have around the business is gone. Don't have anxiety anymore. I have people that are doing what they're supposed to be doing and running the systems. And it feels wonderful. All right. So I want you to hear me out on this. Being needed by your business is not the same thing as being valuable to your business. The most valuable thing you will ever build is a business that does not need you. It does not need you, because that's the business that gives you your life back. It gives you the time flexibility you want. And that's the business someone would actually want to buy. You're not the hub, you're the CEO. And your job is not to hold everything together. It's to build the wheel so it can roll without you. You can do hard things. And this hard is worth doing. It is worth doing. And if you want help to make this happen, because you're like, I just need some guidance, I need to do this work, and I just need someone to walk alongside me, great. Awareness is always the first step. The second step would be to consider applying for our FitBiz Accelerator. It's my 12-month program for owners who are ready to stop being the bottleneck and start leading like a CEO, building the actual systems, the structure, and the team so that your business runs without you. We don't do necessarily just theory. We do real-time implementation on your real business. So if you're ready to see if you qualify, head on over to christagurka.com/accelerator and take a look at the program. Either way, I want you to stop carrying the whole load of your business by yourself and start putting it properly in the hands of others. All right? So I hope this hit home for you. I hope you took some valuable information. If this resonated with you and you'd like to share it, screenshot it and share it on Instagram, maybe tag another studio owner who needs to hear this, would be fabulous. Pay it forward. And until next time, my friends, bye for now.